We await you and look forward to hearing everything you say. Oh, I see Mr. Bodhisattva Ganguly is with him as well, the executive editor of the Economic Times. So we're in for a good session. Looking forward to that.
Good afternoon, friends. As always, the Economic Times is known for being a thought leader. Also, an opinion maker. And I was just telling the editor of the newspaper, his first name stands for holding knowledge, wisdom, and everything else. So I'm sure during this GBS, you'll be focusing on all aspects of having knowledge, but how to use it as wisdom to solve the global problems. And that is what is the challenge for all of us today. At a time when there are unprecedented situations developing in the world, where global trade has been facing a real headwind. Till 2008, we had a very interesting phenomena in which the global growth was all the time positive, and the global trade was growing at a rate even faster than global growth rate. Since then, we have been seeing a deceleration of growth, but also decline in the quantity as well as the value of global trade. And we have seen the phenomena witnessed in 2008 has actually resulted in benefits to all countries in one form or the other. And we have seen that was a period when the highest number of poor were uplifted from poverty, and those Millennium Development Goals which were set by the United Nations, heads of state, heads of government, were accomplished thanks to this huge growth in the global GDP. But now we are seeing a different scenario, and that was 2008 till recently. But now the recent, particularly 2018, would be remembered for that, in which we are seeing a completely changed scenario in which people are not talking about whether WTO should be there or not, what is the efficacy of global trading system, and in that context, the GBS is taking place. So it should be our endeavor not just to increase our GDP, which in any case is happening, but also to help globally how to bring in a transformative approach towards the global trade issues. Therefore, India took the lead. In 2017, when we had a very unsuccessful, to put it very mildly, the ministers' meeting in Buenos Aires, India took the lead, and on 19th and 20th of March 2018, we organized a mini-ministerial attended by 52 countries. Because it was attended by so many countries, you cannot really call it a mini-ministerial. Because normally mini-ministerials are about 20, 25 countries. This was the biggest mini-ministerial, representing all sections of the global community. And since then, we have been taking a lead to ensure that WTO remains central to the global trading system. And we are seeing huge challenges. Countries putting various trade barriers, questioning the very tenets on which the global trading system has been built. And despite that, we are trying to grow. And happy to note that India registered not only 7% plus growth rate in economy, but also in exports. we have been seeing a decline in exports for a long time, and this year we are already having a 9% positive, and India would register the highest merchandise exports ever in 2018-19 by March. That would also mean that we would have crossed between merchandise and service exports of $500 billion of total exports. And our strategy now would be how to increase them substantially as we go along, for which we are working on various strategies, doing geography-specific, product-specific metrics, and developing what needs to be done to ensure that we increase the market share. So we have already done for Africa. In fact, next month, we will have called all the African ministers. I have invited them, probably in this same place. We are doing in the next few days with the Latin Americans. Yesterday, I hosted all the ASEAN ministers. They came home also. We are done for the East Asia. So East Asia, Southeast Asia, we are doing it for the Middle East. His Excellency, the Ambassador of UAE is here. Only other day, after very successful meeting with His Highness Sheikh Hamad, we have now decided to work together on very strategic economic issues. Not only our relationship is strategic in many forms, also in that. The Crown Prince, His Highness Saudi Crown Prince was here, and we have now decided to work together on very comprehensive ideas with that. So we are working on a very comprehensive strategy for all geographies to increase India's share in the global trade, which in turn, in line with your thinking, this is a global business summit, so we don't want to only look at how we will benefit, but while we benefit, we want to make sure that even others benefit, the global community benefits. And therefore, we are working on a strategy like this at a time when we also prepared a domestic robust strategy. India would be a $5 trillion economy in 7 years, for which I prepared a plan. I would not call it a plan because we don't have planning commission anymore. It's a strategy. It was prepared in my ministry. Strategy is how to make 5 trillion in which increasing today's share of GDP from manufacturing to 20%, that's $1 trillion. Increasing share of services to 60%, that's a $3 trillion. And increasing share of agriculture to $1 trillion mark. And that will make 5 trillion. For which detailed strategies with the industry has been worked out for what we'll manufacture in the next few years' time. Of course, our target is 10 trillion, and while we reach 5 trillion, we'll also fine-tune the strategies for the $10 trillion. And therefore, we are working on it, for which we created first time agriculture export policy. Today, our idea is to take agriculture exports to $100 billion, for which we are working on which product can be exported from India to which country. I was telling that GCC countries, particularly UAE, Saudi Arabia and others, they provide energy security to India. We buy major source of energy that India needs from them. So they have provided energy security. Now we are working together to provide food security to our friends in that part of the world. So energy security will be provided by them. We'll guarantee them food security, because India's production of agriculture and horticulture put together would be more than 600 million tons. And it will continue to grow even at 4-5%, will be a substantially higher number. So we have worked out a strategy which agriculture commodity will be exported from which part of the country, and for which, in consultation with all the state governments, we have come out with exactly what location and what product will be exported. And to support them, to provide air cover. When we talk about a strategy, it has to be holistic. So to provide air cover, we have first time prepared air cargo policy. And this air cargo policy in turn will actually ensure that we really work on it. So we are very sure that India's GDP growth will be also not only increase in numbers, but it will be well diversified, and also qualitative growth will be able to register over a period of time. And to do that, as I said, for each and every segment of it, we have worked out a detailed strategy. I think you are also focusing in the GBS as to how society should benefit from this growth. It's a very important thing, because economics is part of overall sociology. If society also benefits, we have to focus on job creation as well as inclusive growth. I'm happy to share that the first time we have worked out a completely different kind of strategy. We are mapping all districts of India, in which how can each district of India contribute to 3 or 4% growth rate than normal. So we asked Indian Institute of Management and the National Council for Applied Economic Research to do the baseline studies and to find out at what rate those districts are growing. If the district is growing at 7%, how we can make it grow by 3 or 4% more? If it is growing by 8%, how it can grow by 12%? So how to do that? We'll actually, a strategy is working out. We are working on 6 districts in 5 states, and already we are entering the second phase of doing this. So what will happen? When India grows, each district grows at 3 or 4% more, which is definitely doable. And all 6 districts, now we have come to this conclusion, not just 3 or 4%, even higher. What will happen? If all districts start growing by 3 or 4% more, what will be the India's growth? Because aggregation of India's growth, aggregation of district growth is India's growth. So when India grows at 7%, and now districts will start growing at 3 or 4% more than normal, India's growth will also touch that number. So this is what we are working on, and that, as I was telling you, will help in bringing out social element of it. Because we normally think at a macro level, we grow. How to bring the growth down is a strategy we have to work out separately. But here it is integrated into the growth paradigm itself, in which the growth will ensure that socially benefits will come because district will benefit first, and it will be a bottoms-up approach. So inclusive growth will not be necessary because inclusiveness will be integrated into the growth part itself. While we do this, we are definitely sure that India's growth can happen by promoting entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a key to India's growth. And to do that, we are removing as many hurdles as possible. That is clearly evidence in the fact that India has moved to 77th rank in terms of from 140 few years ago. But we are trying to work on a different strategy. Again, going to the district. We are trying to work out ease of doing business for each and every district of India, for which I have involved states, and all the willing state governments will work to make ease of doing business, improving the state, in the district. If the district ease of doing business improves, you can imagine how much benefit it will give to the entrepreneurs. Not just to startup community, that they will benefit for sure, but even other businesses will also immensely benefit, because there the entrepreneurship will be allowed to blossom and will not be inhibited by the hurdles that are put in because of regulatory issues. Separately, I have set up a committee under the chairmanship of DIPP. Now it's no longer called DIPP, incidentally, but we have set up a committee to make sure that we remove all the regulatory parameters. Startups will be another very important element of India's growth story. They'll create jobs, they will add to innovation and bring in new ideas to fore. And recently, as you are aware, and I think you have been reporting it on the front pages, so I don't have to repeat, we have really removed a lot of hurdles and tried to make life of startup far easy. Because angel tax should be really seen to be an angel. So we have really made it like that, and therefore the angels can be seen to be there even in their own businesses. And therefore we are trying to make startup community grow, for which we have taken a number of measures. But also to ensure that one of the big challenge, and that's a social issue. When you make some product, the startups, small businesses, self-help group, all of them face artisans. They are the ones who can actually create jobs because they are really self-employed and add to innovation as well. But how do they get market access? We talk about market access for global affairs. How do we allow them to enter the marketplace to begin with? And therefore, only last week, I launched a very important program, probably early this week, not even last day, 2-3 days back. We launched a program from the GM. How can they sell their products on the GM platform? You cannot imagine the huge impact it is going to have, because all the self-help groups, all the women organizations, all the artisans, their products now will be able to be sold on the GM platform, by which they'll get a market access. So this again will bring in the social part of it, which we are focusing on while we discuss all the global issues and economic growth. How society also benefits at the same time is a big challenge and opportunity for all of us. I'm sure we work on all these issues. And I can tell you one experience, because I'm sure you like to ask me that, about one sector which is really growing very fast, and that's the aviation sector. When we grow, we must ensure that you must prepare a plan not just for today, but also for tomorrow. In fact, that's what we have always been doing. When we did the power sector reform, it happened, the results can come later. When we started working on railways, the benefits you can see and will continue to see for a long period of time. So in aviation, we have created a vision for 2040, which we unveiled on the 15th and 16th of January in Mumbai, when the first ever global aviation summit happened anywhere in the world, not just in India, in which we have prepared a plan of how do you add from 103 airports today, we want to add another 100 airports in the next few years' time with an investment of about $65 billion. How do you make sure to cater to this double-digit growth that we are seeing, which is the highest growth anywhere in the world, to make India the third largest aviation market? How to sustain it? To do that, what type of infrastructure we need? So we are actually working on it. And we need 2,300 new aircraft to ensure that its growth is sustained. Then we'd like those aircraft to be made in India under our Make in India program. So we have prepared a roadmap, and on 27, we have called all these global players who will actually look at this opportunity, because when we have got 2,300 aircraft we manufacture, when we organized this aero show, first time it was organized by the Defense and the Aviation Ministry together, I was speaking to them, and the many CEOs who came and met me from global players, as well as when they met me earlier last month, when Global Aviation Summit, each one of them have evinced a keen interest to make aircrafts in India over a period of time, because this is going to be such a large market. So we are working on it. And the same thing you can see in the railways, when we decided to make the first ever diesel locomotive with high power, or electric locomotive, or this high-speed, semi-high-speed railway, all of this was possible. So we'll make this also possible, and over a period of time we'll make this. While we do this, India will be one of the first countries to come out with a regulation on UAV. And that again is going to be a huge market. When I met my Russian friends only last week, they were saying that they would like to also learn from this regulation, because India will be one of the few countries in the world, or rather one of the first countries in the world to actually make this happen. So UAV, making aircraft, will again be a great opportunity. And we can clearly see that growth in aviation is also going to create huge job opportunities. When we had this summit, many people came from different countries. Instantly, 89 countries participated. They are saying, we look up to India to offer human resources for running global aviation markets. Today we have, in global aviation, some of the Indian origin people are the CEOs. But now we can have across the board people running the aviation industry of the world. So we really look forward to that happening. And therefore I'm sure as we go along, we'll see as one sector transforms, as we work on manufacturing, as we work on services, we'll see a huge growth. Services have a huge opportunity to provide jobs of a massive scale. So we identified 12 champion sectors, and each of the 12 champion sectors, we are working in such a way that these 12 champion sectors will add to the growth in services, for which we have set aside 5,000 crores, which will be used to leverage the ability of services to create more job opportunities. So this type of model that I mentioned, wherein services will grow, but not at the expense of manufacturing or agriculture. Services, in any case, can grow only when two mainstream growth engines, manufacturing and agriculture, also grows at the same time. So it will be a very well-diversified growth. This will be the growth which will, as I said, qualitative growth, and therefore we really look forward to that happening. So many of the initiatives that have been taken, which were spelled out by the Honorable Prime Minister in the morning, we are trying to take India to a completely new level. And I'm sure when we see this, when India added the first trillion, we never thought that we'll add the second trillion so soon. Now we'll see that from 2.6 to become $5 trillion is a matter of time, and from there $10 trillion. So to make that happen, we're not just saying that only accident will make it happen. We are working on a very well thought of, comprehensive, holistic strategy, worked out with action plans for each of these, and therefore we'll put into reality to take India to the level which it deserves to be there. And therefore this particular program, organized by the my friends in Economic Times, the GBS, will be a good platform for all of us to debate and deliberate how can we make it better. Because we'll reach there in any case, but can we make partnership and make it better? So we are working on a very comprehensive strategic partnership. As I said in the beginning, that when we talk about geography for exports, it is not just a geography in which we want to go and sell our products to them. It's a strategic relationship with East Asia, with Southeast Asia, with our South Asia, our neighbors, our friends in GCC, in Africa, in Europe, in North America, in South America. All of this together will have a strategic partnership. So for each of the geography, we are working that strategic partnership separately. Many of the global CEOs, in fact from each of the country I mentioned, large number of CEOs have come to India in 2018 on my invitation, on the invitation of a Prime Minister. And we are working with them to find out how we can now build new strategic relationship which will help each one of us to grow. Give me one example. India has $40 billion of exports from gems and jewelry. But we don't have the right kind of, we don't make diamonds as much as we need. So we are now working with a partner with Russia, in which we'll import diamonds from them. And in Vladivostok, they have these possibilities of diamond. They have this gold mining. We import, and by doing that, India gets a benefit of access to the raw diamond because we have the capability even to process more diamonds, but the limitation being availability of it, we can actually work together. As I said with the Middle East, we are working on a strategy of creating the whole supply chain in which they will invest, we will invest, and together we'll export it back to them. So it's a win-win partnership we are trying to work out with a strategic intent and strategic content. So once we do that, you'll see a huge change in the economic landscape in which they will benefit, we benefit, and because we benefit, we eventually will also lift the global GDP. Because in this changing scenario in which people are questioning the edifice of world trade, we need to find out new strategic relationship, and that's what we are working on. Thanks to the vision of the Prime Minister, he has created such incredible and invaluable relationship globally that we can actually bank on that to create economic opportunities for the people of India in which they will benefit, as well as we'll make sure that the world also benefits at the same time. So let me stop here. I will wish you all my best. Congratulations to my friends for organizing such a great event, and thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts with such a distinguished audience. And all of those who have come from different parts of the world, let me welcome to India. And I'm sure you have come here to speak this time or to listen to the speeches, but soon you will come here to do business in India. And now doing business in India will be far, far easier, far, far better, because, as I said, we are making everything possible to remove the hurdles in the way of making business. So it will be good for you. In FDI, for example, we have removed more or less all sector limitation. I already directed the Invest India now to take the next FDI destination is $100 billion, for which you are working out a strategy that who can give $100 billion is a person who has something in his pocket. So we have already done the research. Which are those companies who have those cash surplus, how they will invest in India, what is the sectoral intent, and I am talking personally to the Fortune 500 company CEOs, in requesting them to come here. We also set up an advisory group under my chairmanship in which these global CEOs participate, and we'll make sure that we take it to the new level. So I really look forward to working with all of you, looking forward to making sure that you benefit, we benefit, and we create win-win partnership for all of us to benefit from each of these. Thank you very much. Congratulations to all of you.
So thank you so much for this very comprehensive speech.